Mosques, churches and synagogues are going to be given £2.4 million to spend on ways to protect themselves against hate crime. This is a new government plan announced today.
Well, in the week following the EU referendum, a number of reports to police rocketed by 500%, and campaigners fear many more incidents go unreported.
Joining us now, Jonathan Sacerdoti, who is from the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism. Have you noticed, good morning to you, by the way, have you noticed, Jonathan, a rise in hate crimes against the Jewish community?
Jewish people, unfortunately, in this country have been noticing hate crimes against them for some years. And I think that what's happened now with this post-Brexit referendum effect is the whole country is starting to notice the sort of things that Jewish people and other minorities have been putting up with for many years. Jewish schools have been ringed with razor wire and high-level security, a bit like airports. Jewish parents dropping their kids off at the school gate are used to this already. And now the government's pledging to put more money out there. We've been talking with the Home Office, with Theresa May when she was Home Secretary, and now she, of course, is Prime Minister, and we've been suggesting recommendations that really should be put in place for managing hate crime a lot more robustly. So we're quite pleased about the new guidance that's probably coming out today.
Does it go far enough, do you think, from what you've seen?
We do hope that it does, because it seems that what's happening now is that there's a renewed energy because of what's happened after the referendum. People are really calling for this, and now it's not just an issue that Jewish people or other minorities are concerned about. The whole country's realised that we can't let this sort of thing happen at any area of life. But what we really need to see as well is not just more police guidance, but we need to see more of these crimes actually prosecuted so that they're brought to court and then tough sentences are imposed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge... We've got the Director of Public Prosecutions on later, Alison Saunders. Seem to be a huge amount of cases that come forward that don't lead to prosecutions. In fact, the vast majority don't. Why is that, do you think? Not enough evidence? Is that a problem?
Well, in fact, in our anti-Semitic crime audit that we published this year, looking at the difference between crimes in 2014 and 2015, specifically relating to anti-Semitic crimes, we saw quite a big rise in the number of crimes registered, but a drop in the percentage of those that are charged by the CPS. It's very hard to know exactly what the reasons are, but hopefully this hate crime guidance that's coming out today will push the authorities to actually prosecute more of these.
Jonathan, is that because, I mean, without identifying individuals, can you give us an example of a crime where an individual feels that they have been the victim of a hate crime, they've gone to the police and it has not been prosecuted, somebody hasn't been brought to trial? And is that because the police failed to see it as a hate crime, or it's not seen as serious enough, or they haven't been able to track down the person responsible? I mean, you know, just to give a concrete example for people.
Well, there are various different types of crime, ranging from online abuse on Twitter, and that can be quite demoralising and soul-destroying for people when they're being abused by, say, an account that almost exclusively focuses on Jewish people, targeting them.
And do you consider that a hate crime,
as
opposed to trolling?
Indeed, the law of the country considers certain examples of that as hate crime.
And is that always followed up by police?
Unfortunately not, and that's part of the problem, is that often things, especially relating to anti-Semitism, have very unique features which you might not necessarily understand the damage or hurt that's caused by them unless you have a good understanding of anti-Semitism. So that's why we are pleased that there is this suggestion of police being made more aware of how these sorts of crimes affect minority groups like Jewish people.
OK, so police are not understanding the impact of this sort of language, for instance. Is that one of your criticisms of them? Sure,
and it's not just language, because people are abused in person, for example, on public transport or in schools, and these are things that we need to see dealt with robustly as well. And then there are physical attacks, either on Jewish buildings, like synagogues or community centres or schools, and also physical attacks on people's actual physicality, on themselves. And all of these need to be treated in a way that shows that it's just not British to persecute minorities in that way and attack them. It needs to be shown that you'll get a tough sentence and you will be prosecuted if these are the sorts of things that you're doing.
And I can see where there might be a problem when it comes to online language, but are you also suggesting that where people have been physically attacked, those crimes are not being followed up and prosecuted?
More of those are followed up, because I suppose it's easier to show exactly where the evidence trail is. But the experience of many Jewish people is that when they report crimes like these, of any of these sorts, that are illegal under the existing British law, zero tolerance isn't being applied firmly enough. That's why we welcome what the Home Office is suggesting today.
Yeah, all right. Well, as Piers says, we're going to talk to the Director of Public Prosecutions and put those very points to her after 7 o'clock. But for now, Jonathan Sacerdoti, thank you very much indeed for your time.